Hi, everybody. This is Kathy. Welcome back. And I have an invitation for the Whitakers. And in particular, I'm speaking to BJ, Larry, Betty, Kenny, and even Jason, because I would love to hear what you have to say. I think that you have been, muffled. I think you've been, especially BJ, I think you've tried to speak up in the chat sections of different people's live streams, and you keep getting blocked and silenced. So I would love to hear what you have to say. And Larry and Betty, I've seen you guys speaking, but it was always with Patrick sitting right there in the camera, or Eric. And I'm sure you were heavily influenced by their presence, and I don't think you said anything close to what you wanted to say. So I'm giving people an opportunity that you can come on this platform and speak out, tell your story without anybody influencing you or coercing you or threatening you. Tell your story and tell people what you've been trying to say, because and whether it's I have an ability to do a live stream where you could get a link and talk that way on or off camera, or you could I could call you on the phone and let you speak your mind, whatever works for you. But I I I know you have something to say, all of you. And I do believe that what happened to you was very unfortunate with Eric and Patrick. And in particularly what Eric did, I think was just awful. The way he kept calling APS and bringing the state in and accusing everybody of beating each other up and neglect and abuse and reporting your house and everything else. I believe that you've been used as a scapegoat, the fall guy for him leaving town with all that money and canceling the new log home. I think he used the restraining order being not coming through as an excuse not to build the house. I know that the court date was on September 4th and he missed it. And he flipped it around and told everybody that Betty blamed her, told her that Betty canceled it. And all his hard work was for nothing, and that he used that to cancel all the plans to make the house. And in reality, he missed the court date. So I saw what he did there. I would love to hear about that court date, because he's never shown us, and his story changes constantly. But I think that you were, blackmailed, and your family torn apart and coerced and manipulated. Everybody was exploited. And then he robbed you of your money. It appears to be, and that's being investigated. And hopefully, if they find out that is true, then you can get the money they owe you. But I seen you being stalked and basically all kinds of stuff. And if anybody should have had a restraining order, you should have filed it on Eric, in my opinion. But I would do want to offer, and I don't blame you for thinking this was going to turn out differently, because, and I'm not going to really bring up the past. In fact, I'm not interested in talking about your past. I'm not interested in your past or present criminal activity or records, anything like that. I don't care about the past. I don't care. I only want to have you tell your side of the story from the time that Patrick came back in the picture with the YouTube videos, Facebook, whatever it was. From the time you came back on, so the last few months, that's what I'm interested in hearing you talk about. I'm not here to listen to or have anybody ask you questions. I'm not going to ask anything about the past or even the present. I'm going to ask about anything that happened between Eric, Patrick and you guys. And now, I'm sure you believed it was going to be kind of like what happened with Mark, because kind of started out that way. And Mark from Soft White Underbelly did he had a totally different, did completely different motives. Mark, I believe he's like a journalist, or he does documentaries. He was there to do a story, um, give you some money, make things better for you, and make it worth your while he documents the story. And he left, and he did open up a GoFundMe where he didn't make a penny off of that. Much different than what happened this time. Mark he didn't collect part of the earnings for your house. He didn't disappear with the money for your house. None of that stuff. As a matter of fact, if I remember right, he even put a roof and siding on your house and did some other home improvements. But so Mark came in, he did his job, he made your life a little better. What happened with the GoFundMe that's in the past. Doesn't matter at this point. So I'm sure you thought, well, this is your second chance. Here's another guy that's offering to collect money and try this again with your house. And I'm sure you thought this time it was going to go through. But their motives were much different. Now, one thing Mark didn't do is Mark didn't come over there and spend weeks on end calling adult protection to your house every day and reporting the conditions to your house to the authorities and calling the police and the sheriff and driving you and requiring you to file restraining orders on each other in order to get the house. I mean, he didn't do any of that. He didn't hang Timmy from a tree or dump a tractor load full of mud on his head when he wasn't looking. None of that stuff. He didn't bring him out to the hotel with him for weeks on end. None of that stuff. And do weird, very questionable things on the camera with him. Mark didn't do any of that stuff. So despite really what happened with that GoFundMe money, that was kind of the only that part kind of tainted the whole story. But if you take that out of the story, Mark came in, and when Mark left, your life was better. And I've seen him come back, and you're happy to see him. And he was anyway. He didn't do any of those things that Eric did. He didn't come over here and try to file guardianship for everybody and then try to put trust funds in their name, and he didn't do any of that stuff. He didn't try to get your social security cards or measure your property or find out none of that. So I'm sure these things kind of caught you off surprise, but you had that house dangling over your head. Kenny, I would love to talk to you. I know you know some stuff. You don't say a lot, but I know you know some stuff. I would love to speak to you. I'm sure you have some stories to tell. And BJ, girl, I think they saw a perfect scapegoat. I think from the get-go they were gonna. Well, I can't even say they, because as much as I really don't care for Patrick, I think this was all Eric. The whole getting the family, involved in and removed and all that stuff. I think that was, the things that Eric was blatantly doing right on camera. But I think he was here to collect the money and dump the blame on you, because America, well, the world already saw that, what happened with the other money. And so, he saw somebody that they didn't like anyway, and it wouldn't be that far of a leap to, accuse you of, running smackdown on everybody in the house and accuse you of all kinds of things and try to get a restraining order. And I know you have, I know your criminal past and even the present stuff, but what there is not on there, I'll tell you two things. One is what's not on there is any charges of you beating on Timmy. And another thing I noticed is that your criminal record is actually shorter than Patrick's. Just saying. But I know you have a lot to say. I've seen you getting blocked, and every time you try to speak out, girl, I would love to see what you have to say. And like I said, I'm not here. I'm not at all interested in asking you about the anything with Mark, anything with the GoFundMe, anything with, um, you know, anything your past, your criminal, anything like that. I'm interested in hearing what happened recently. Oh, Betty, Betty, Betty. I feel so bad for you. I saw how you were manipulated and had that house dangling over your head. Oh, beautiful log cabin and all this money, and dangled that over your head and wanted you to go get restraining orders and telling you to say this and say that and dividing up your family and just bringing in all kinds of trouble. And you know the sad part, I mean, besides everything I just said, on top of everything, um, you guys really didn't get anything. I mean, you really didn't get much money. I think you got $250 in your water bill paid, came out of your. But I mean, you guys really didn't get anything. I mean, look at you. At least with Mark, you guys got a roof and siding and shopping and money and um, a lot of money. And Mark left everybody unscathed just the way he found you. But these two came in and I know you live right by Patrick, and I think you're still involved with a friendship with Patrick, and that's your business. But I think everybody's done a number on you, and I feel kind of the most bad for you. I feel bad for all you, I really do. But Betty, I could just give you a hug because I saw you in the vehicle going with Eric to the restraining order that you did not want and in my opinion didn't need. But anyway, I would love to speak to you too. Larry. I've grown to like you, Larry. I really think you're actually a nice guy. I really grown to like you, and anyway, I'm sure you have a lot to say too, and I'd love to hear your story, what you have to say, without Patrick sitting there and instructing anybody or manipulating anybody what to say. But I'm sure you have a lot to say too. And it's your family too that's been torn apart, and I can only imagine how you all feel. And you are, basically the man of the house, and just the way that things happen, I'm sure it's just been rough. And then, again, you were blackmailed. Betty was told her family's not getting a brand new home if she doesn't do the restraining order. But you were told if you don't do the restraining order, you're going to get turned in to the police for stealing gas. And to me, that's blackmail. If you don't, and not only that, but using the court like that using the court's restraining order system to manipulate everybody is just unbelievable. But you were literally blackmailed right on camera into going to get a restraining order on your own daughter, which we all know is crazy. So anyway, Larry, I know you got a lot to say. We'd love to talk to you too. Heck, even you, Jason. I would love to talk to you because I'm sure you got a lot to say, especially about your house. Like, what's the deal with that house? I think a lot of us want to know what's the deal with the house. But anyway, um, I saw the videos on you that Mark did, and I even put in the comment section that good luck because I wish you well. I'm sure you've seen a lot. I'm sure you've seen a lot. But I wish you well because you said you had kids, and I always want people to do good. Everybody's got a past, but I always wish the best for people because if you do good, it benefits your kids and everybody around you. So I always wish you well. I wish everybody well. Every person I wish well, including you, Jason. If you have anything to say, I'm here. Put the comment in the comments section. And anyway, I'd love to hear about you. Like I said, particularly the house. Oh, and again, like I said with everybody, I don't want to hear anything about your past. I don't want to hear anything. I'm not interested in anything about the past, anything at all about that. I just want to know about if you know anything about anything that's gone on in the last few months. I'd love to talk to you about that too. So again, this invitation is for all you. If you're interested in telling your side of the story, I'm fair. I'm impartial. I will give you your time to tell your story. So just get a hold of me in the comments section. Just tell me who you are and that you want to speak, and we'll either talk by phone or we'll discuss that later. But if you want to tell your side of the story with nobody coercing you or making you say anything, and or maybe being the first time you get to say something, who knows? But anyway, that's about it. Contact me, and I'm sure everybody would have a interest in what you have to say. I know a lot of people would love to hear what you have to say because you've been all you've been. A lot of you have not been able to speak up, or somebody's told you what to say. So anyway, thanks for listening. And this also goes out to anybody else involved in this, or if anybody that's been involved in this, and their little story here that in the last few months. You can also contact me if you've got something to add to this situation that's happened. Just contact me in the comment section. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching, and hopefully we'll hear from the Whitakers.